All right, so welcome to the podcast, or at least the podcast to be. We don't have a name yet. And this
it's the
them hunkies?
No. I mean, it's either like the what are the Películas de Sábado?
Well, okay, well, sure,
or the Cinema Marijuana Theater.
We have both those. Yeah, Las Películas Sábados Gigantes.
Is that one because the Cinema Marijuana Theater is the venue?
Okay.
Unless you want to do the Cinema Marijuana Theater presents.
Ooh,
hey,
yeah, dude.
That's
okay,
that's a long
so
name.
This is the Cinema Marijuana Theater presents the official podcast of Las Películas Sábados Gigantes, the inaugural the inaugural broadcast.
That's gonna be fun to say at the end of the night when you're drunk and stoned.
And I'm just getting started too. So we'll go around the table to my right, and everybody introduce themselves. I'm Ed.
I'm Matt.
I'm John.
The dulcet tones of my voice is Jason.
I'm Chris.
You got, dude, you're such a clown. You got to point that in your mouth.
He talks out of his eye.
There we
Little
go.
known
There we
fact.
go. Say it again.
I'm Chris.
There we go. Thank you.
I'm Chris.
Okay, so yeah, and this is we discuss our weekly endeavors into cinema, our closed Facebook cinema group where we watch movies. We have a movie lottery every week, and we're here to talk about that. So
Summer won.
Summer won actually, and she was the last. Technically,
Well, by default.
well, yeah,
You can't really say she won.
Yeah, okay, that's true. That's
She
true.
didn't lose.
She didn't actually win. And Phil technically what should have been eligible, but for the purposes of ending this, because we have to plan.
Yeah, we have to get
I
the next
didn't. I
theme
didn't want to.
going.
I didn't, and because I made Summer promise to be here because of her work thing. I didn't want to have a situation where, you know what I mean. So Phil technically wasn't eligible. Summer was the last eligible one for this series of films, this elimination round, this no theme elimination round, which I'd like to remind everybody has been going since the beginning of the year.
Wow, that's a long,
Like 2.5, almost 3,
Almost.
almost 4 months.
Yeah, almost 4.
Well, the fuck you theme really kept on getting postponed and postponed.
It really because of the holidays. It's hard to get something like this going during the holidays because everybody has something going on every weekend. We had really low attendance.
True, yeah.
But
And the
then,
fuck you
I
theme
think-
did too definitely play a factor.
Well,
in it.
'cause
well, it
there was
definitely
certain-
did peter out. I think everybody really hated that concept.
No,
I didn't.
No, I disagree.
Well, you guys came up with
by,
it.
No, I
by
disagree.
everyone, we mean everyone who matters.
That's
and
not true.
You or John.
The only people,
I think
actually,
technically we're the only
you
people that
you two were really the only people that had a problem with it.
Condi was all about it.
Yeah, Chris pursued it with a gusto that was actually brought a tear to my eye. The only reason Chris kept not being able to produce is because he was taking the theme so seriously he couldn't find a fuck you enough movie.
Well,
And I was helping him. Get on the mic, fool.
I just didn't know. No, I knew what I wanted. I just wasn't able to get exactly.
Right. So, and also, I kept wanting to hold it up too because Victor kept not being here.
Oh,
and
that's
Victor
true.
was the one I wanted to say "fuck you" to the most. So I was like, well, and so I wanted to wait till we were all here. But honestly, see, and you guys took it unnecessarily negatively because I don't want to reveal it anybody picks in case we go back and do it again. But really, a lot of the picks that were going to come out of it would it would have been the epitome of what this experiment is about.
I think you guys might have either missed the point or like not really, put enough thought into what we were kind of going for.
No, you're right. We just don't care about cinema nearly as much as you guys.
That's
Well,
not that is not what was
It's
said
just-
at all. But so anyways,
I just found it very difficult to try to find a movie that said "fuck you" but was still a decent movie to watch.
God, I wish I almost want to just like spoil potential picks. Just
do it. Just do it.
Spoil
Because-
Victor's.
Well, okay. Well, okay. Since Victor seems to not be here, I'll go ahead and spoil his. All right. So Victor was going to pick Conan the Barbarian because Kenzie at one point, I guess, had told him, "I'm never going to watch that," and he loves it as much as Chris and I do. Well, probably not as much, but almost as much. And so he was going to bring Conan the Barbarian. Now, we would have all flipped out and fucking loved it because we all love that movie. But, well, I mean, maybe you don't. But, I mean.
Oh, no, I love that movie, too.
Okay, yes.
But you see how that's not a bad movie? It would be a fuck you just to her.
Right.
Who was it going to be a fuck you to?
Kenzie.
To Kinsey.
Because, like I said, she had told him at one point, that she'd never watch it, like no matter what. And he's like, so he knew in that fuck you situation, he could show it to her.
Okay. Yeah.
See what I mean? I'm not spoiling yours, but John's is another one. Just a really great. And where Chris was going to, and Condi, man, what are you guys doing over there? That's really noisy. All right, fix it. Okay. If it's easier to just take it out of the goddamn holder too, feel free to do that. Because that'll probably be less noisy actually than the stand itself, and you can even put that to the fucking side if you want. So anyways, and that's the thing. I think that there was some misinterpretation with the fuck you thing. But anyways, we're not here to talk about the fuck you thing. We're here to talk about...
Well, we do know that yours was going to get Victor to see as much penis as possible.
Actually, that's not... And I don't want to reveal mine.
That's too bad he wasn't here for Shame. That would have been great. Wait, was he here for Shame? No. Oh, yeah, we would have heard
That almost
more
could have
about
been a
it.
fuck you to Victor from you or something.
The last
The
one he was
penis,
here for was the Salvation, what he won.
Ironically enough.
And then he
Okay,
left
so-
after that.
Also, one more thing. We need a name for people who just like come in, they happen to be eligible, they win, and we don't see them for like a month. and a half.
The lucky people like
Yeah.
Snig or Victor who
yeah.
always have the luck. Okay,
Although
so
I gotta say,
We
a
don't
lot,
have to
a lot
think
of
of it
those
now.
picks have been really good.
well, no, absolutely. That's like when we've discussed it. We've discussed, because some people get grumbly when people who aren't here all the time show up and win. And what I always say is, it's like, well, okay, number one, dude, like who's gonna tell Snake she doesn't get a pick? First off, I'm not doing that. That's
Yeah,
fucking-
where do you draw the line?
That's fucked
Where
up
does
to
the
anybody.
attendance,
That's
you
fucked up to
know,
anybody. Like from
match
from
up?
what I understand, like it's actually really cool that she's here to begin with. So I'm certainly not going to be like that. But also, even when somebody else wins, I know some people kind of get grumbly about it, but we all win because then we see something that none of us would have picked otherwise. And I think everybody that's come and been in that situation, except for maybe Victor, who's just super duper lucky, we've seen like really cool stuff. You know what I mean? So it's rewarding, and that's kind of the point too.
For those of you who don't know, we did a tally, and Victor wins something like, was it like slightly less than 30%? It was like
Yeah.
29%.
Yeah, he's exceptionally lucky.
And that's why we started doing elimination rounds.
He is the Babe Ruth of Movie Saturday.
I think I'm probably around
He's the Muhammad
7%.
Ali.
I don't
What
think
was
you're-
it?
No, you weren't that
How
low.
low was
Yeah,
it?
you're at the bottom.
You're at the bottom, but
Kenzie
think
and
I might have-
Summer are, but actually
Summer kind of her attendance is
because
her
because for a long time, she's been doing she's been here a lot like this time, but like in previous she hasn't been here for like months. But so Kenzie, I think,
Kenzie's
is the
a
absolute,
regular,
the
who's
absolute
just get
unluckiest.
Her
Did-
luck.
wow,
just,
really?
like-
Did Kenzie
She
boot me
should-
from the bottom rung?
Yes.
Yeah, she's done the very bottom.
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah,
And she's been here since day one.
Sweet.
yeah.
She should
Founding
never play
member.
dice. and
I'm
she
not
should
last
never,
anymore.
Hey,
That's what I'm saying.
Or she should never play Dungeons and Dragons because she's just gonna roll ones all the time.
First critical miss every week with her.
We did play. We played a Charlon a couple times. I don't remember whether she rolled all ones or not. Though.
No, that was me rolling all
She
ones.
did roll no fives in Parcheesi for like the first 25 minutes, which I've never seen anybody ever manage to pull off.
I've
Okay,
never-
all right.
So movie.
So yes,
Yeah, getting
okay.
us
So
back on
let's
track.
get down to business here. Let's get down to brass tacks. So let's go. I guess we'll go like this. Hit it and pass it to the left, right? So we'll just go clockwise from me.
We're talking
And
about
you
talking.
guys can. And I guess you guys can pick if you want to go first or last. Today's film, Summer. So it was Summer. She didn't technically win by default. She won because she was the last one, and she picked 1987's Adventures in Babysitting. So you want me to start, or you want Chris to start?
I think we should have Chris start and you go last.
Okay. All right, Chris. What did you think?
Yeah, I like that movie. I remember watching it when it came out, and it was a good movie. I don't know if it was. Am I loud enough when
When you
was
hold it like
right
that,
in
you
my
are.
face?
Yeah.
I mean, to me, it seemed like a safe pick because it's something that we've all seen, and I mean, I'm guilty of doing that too.
Sure.
I feel like it should have been like a crescendo because it's the last pick of the round.
Right.
But I mean,
and she
it
did.
was good.
I don't want to
I
spoil
think
it, but she
everybody
did
liked it.
have some really interesting other picks in there as well.
yeah, it seemed like just kind of like a run. I mean, it was a good pick, but it seemed like a safe one, and just kind of it's a good movie. I like Elizabeth Shue, but
Yes. Radiant.
yeah, I mean, it's just
Absolutely.
it's just your classic '80s movie.
Yes.
Like it's
I
everything
actually,
works out. It's almost like an episode of of a TV show when you watch an 80s movie. Like, you know, it's gonna like
Everything's
start
gonna
out
work
trouble.
out.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
it's
You're
gonna
gonna
have
have
happy
trouble.
It's gonna be
ending.
yeah.
It's not.
super
It's not a
One, it's
question
gonna feature
of
one
like,
character
if, it's
more,
how.
yeah, and then they're
Yeah.
gonna wrap it up, and basically you could have had a sequel to the movie that started off exactly where the next one
Yeah.
went, and then another adventure begins. But you know, it's okay. I mean,
The New Adventures in Babysitting.
What do you? So what are you going to rate it on the Facebook page?
I'm probably gonna give it 2.
All right. Oh yeah, it's out of 5. So, yeah, we do 5 stars on the Facebook page. All right, Jason, what do you think?
I've never heard of this film before.
Excellent.
So it kind of struck me by surprise. I thought it was actually going to be, like I didn't know who Elizabeth. I hardly knew any of the actors.
Right.
Like I recognized Bradley Whitford as her asshole boyfriend,
Right.
and of course like Vincent D'Onofrio as from the
Yeah,
Dawson's
it's
Creek.
got to be his. That's got to be his
Early
first
cameo,
role or
probably,
something.
Introducing.
I think that was it in terms of like people who are like easily recognizable, and even Bradley Whitford's kind of niche.
Yeah. No, definitely. Because I don't. No. Well, okay. I recognized him, but I couldn't put my finger on, and I still haven't checked the IMDb.
I mean, character actor. But
Yeah, no, but
with
but
one of
there's
those
something
faces.
there's one '80s movie in particular that he plays like the jock douchebag asshole like frat, president, and I can't think of it. I got to look it up later.
So my rating system is like we do 5 stars here.
Yeah.
Mine is like 5 stars. If I already give I'm not saying this is 5 stars. If I give a movie 5 stars, that's like I want to watch it again right now. It's not perfect. It just means like right now I want to do that again. So mine's kind of based more on enjoyment rather than like critical, like success, I guess.
Right.
So despite me being kind of an intellectual asshole, like I have a very like gut level mainstream audience sort of rating system. 4 is like, it's a great movie. I'm going to watch it again someday soon. 3 is like, I'll catch it if it's on TV.
right.
2 is like, yeah, that was really unenjoyable. I'm not going to watch that by choice ever again. And 1 is like, I wish it was erased from this earth. No, not from this universe. Like, its non-existence would be so thorough that no one would ever know it had been made, including those who made it. Like, that's like what a 1 star is for me. Like,
Okay.
that's
So
a
what-
complete fucking waste of my time.
Okay.
It would have been better spent like doing something like yoga or masturbation or like something
Yoga.
like some sort of yogstabation.
So
what do you give this one?
Yogsturbation.
This one's like a 3. Like if it was on TV, I actually would catch it. Like it wasn't unenjoyable.
Okay.
It was a low 3. Like,
But it's still in
it's
there.
still a 3. I mean, like
Right.
the colors were
Just
really
like how I passed
reminded
math.
me of like X-Men from the 90s, like the blue and the yellow, and like very brightly done.
Yeah.
It had Albert Collins on stage. Oh, that was the other person I recognized, but he's not really an actor.
Yeah.
I didn't
and
recognize him
it
at
was,
first.
Yeah, it was only like a little cameo.
I wouldn't say that's a little cameo. I mean, he had
Okay, it's
significant
a big
plot point.
cameo. Yeah. Okay. Sure.
And it had a decent vibe, but I mean, I'm with Chris on like it's just got that '80s movie thing.
Yeah.
I didn't learn anything about my inner self.
I don't really think that's the point of this movie.
Didn't
But
push you.
I
to
didn't have any power fantasies going on.
Didn't push
or,
any dark corners.
yeah, like my furthest corners were not reached.
All right.
However you want to put that.
All right, John. What'd you think?
Well, I've loved this movie since I was a kid. Watched it a bunch in the '80s. It's one of those movies we watched over and over again. It's not one of my favorites from that decade. I think it's a little tame. I mean, everything's really safe. I mean, it can almost be G-rated.
There are 2 F-bombs.
Yeah, okay, but that's like it. You know,
There's a bunch of shit.
And reference to sexy times.
yeah.
Couple
I
of-
guess they do.
Oh
They
yeah,
do.
someone
Porno
describes
mags.
Shu as having huge tits.
Yeah.
No,
Some
he
stuff-
gets cut off.
Some
He
stuff
just goes
gets
like,
a little PG.
Yeah.
But it's fun. It's different. I like the little girl and her love for Thor. I thought it was always neat.
that's great.
Well, especially
I love
because
that.
okay, like if it was
If you were a comic
Spider-Man
book
or
fan.
Superman, I mean, it wouldn't be that big of a deal. But like the obscurity, like if you're a comic book fan, especially back then, now it wouldn't be a big deal. But then in the '80s, you had to be a comic book fan. You knew who the fuck Thor was.
Yeah.
So it's
yeah,
like
yeah.
And so it's like I love that obscure choice of as a superhero for her to be a fan.
Yeah, it
of.
wasn't like, oh, she loves Superman.
Yeah, exactly. And I don't
Like,
know. I don't know if that was a commercial time deliberate, if maybe for some reason Marvel wanted to push Thor right then, and they chose that as a superhero to go with.
Right.
And like you said, I don't
You're
know if
right.
there's a,
One of the founding Avengers. So
Well-
niche.
Well, that's hey. I mean, sometimes Dazzler, when they came up with that character, that was all the tie-in with this album that was coming out from this disco singer. They were going to do this whole movie, comic book album thing, and it all collapsed. But the character they still made because they had to put those things into print like 3 months early, so they couldn't.
It was
They
to
couldn't throw the brakes on.
it was
too
to tie
late.
in with Thor's spread in Playgirl.
Maybe.
That,
Well, so
that's why
speaking
the
of which,
Playboy references.
Playboy was it was featured so prominently.
Yeah, I seriously wondered if there was if Playboy was like, or maybe I don't even know if like they wrote the script and went to Playboy and said, "Hey,
Well,
we're gonna."
If there's any skin mag that you could do that with, it'd be Playboy because that is the classy
that
one.
brings up an interesting
Sure,
point that
yeah.
I was thinking of, right? Like, because like it like the immediate knee jerk reaction is to dismiss it as porno, but really it's just photographs of naked women.
Yeah.
So in a way, and there are articles, and like I know it's like the cliched thing to say, but if you ever read Playboy, there are decent articles in there. So in a way, like the only difference between National Geographic and Playboy is like a 6-figure salary.
Well, yeah, no, it's true.
You know what I mean? So
And
like
back in
so, like,
those days, they didn't even show their clams.
So
you
I
know
was-
what
I
I'm
was-
saying?
I was
So
saying-
it was even classier.
Right. So I was thinking, like, at
It was
first
the
I'm like,
landing
oh,
strip
like,
era.
because the little girl is carrying the Playboy around in her backpack, and I'm
Yeah.
like, oh, the little girl's carrying around porno. And then I'm like, well, wait a minute. The little girl's just carrying around a magazine that happens to have some pictures of naked women in
Well,
there, and like really,
is that
as
really so wrong?
Well, and as she's a girl herself
Right.
too,
Yeah.
like
She has the same equipment.
In a way, it almost made Playboy, which is like an adult publication, seem completely innocuous
Yeah.
because
It wasn't
right?
treated. Especially, it's funny because the centerfold you see is all not really. There's not really any
Right.
nudity.
Yeah.
And then people keep thinking she's like the chick in the magazine, but it's not. Even that's not handled as if it's so scandalous. It's more like just
Right.
know.
I
Right.
did think it was a little bit out of place when they go out of the really classy French restaurant and there's like a billboard right outside the front
Playboy
door. for
right
Playboy.
there.
well, hey, it's the big city.
But yeah, I guess if there was a magazine featuring nudity that they had to write into the script, it had to be Playboy.
yeah,
You couldn't
it's
do
not-
that
it's
with
not-
like
it's
It
not
wasn't-
Club
it
International,
wasn't
you know.
Blacktail.
right?
you were gonna say.
It's not exactly like an issue of jugs.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah,
Barely legal.
yeah,
The
furry
first time
females.
the first time I read Chuck Palahniuk, it was like a snippet of like not Fight Club, one of his other books
Right.
in his early career was from Playboy.
Oh, okay, yeah. See,
Yeah.
so because they're kind of a hit publication. Robert Anton Wilson, who I'm a big fan of,
Yeah, a lot
who I
of-
wanted
lot
us
of
to do the
authors.
little book club thing on. He used to be the editor of Playboy. Shel Silverstein used to be
Yeah.
a cartoonist for the magazine.
Yeah, and actually, short fiction has a long history. Ray Bradbury, and
Yeah.
I think maybe even Isaac Asimov once or twice.
Yeah. So yeah, that's
Chunk from Goonies, my other former pick, actually wrote for Playboy. Also.
really?
there you go.
See, there you go. There you go. So,
So yeah, well, to wrap
What
up
would
some
he
of my
write
review, I would give it. Can we do like a half star? Because like I would give it like 2.5 stars.
I think on here we could do half stars on the
Sure.
Facebook page. we're
Okay,
not
well,
able to do
I
it,
would
but-
round up. So I'd say like, okay, for this, I'd say 2.5 stars, but forced into a non-half star situation, I would round up to 3 stars because it is because I
Yeah.
do like it a lot. It's not I wouldn't watch all the time. I haven't seen it since the 1980s, but it's a fun movie and it's enjoyable. And I've always liked it. I'm sure I'll watch it again many times.
So
Yeah.
let's remind listeners, like my scale for stars does not apply to anyone else.
yeah, it's just you.
But I also got a question: like 5 stars is a fun time for you?
5 stars is perfection. I would give very few movies 5 stars. I would give.
Oh,
like-
I'm sorry. I was thinking it doubled up.
See, that's funny
2.5
because
stars.
I'm a little different, but that.
Well,
that
okay,
kind of
see,
looks
Two,
different.
2.5 stars is fun for you?
yes, because like.
Oh, come on. We've seen terrible movies that are amazing.
Well, that's what I'm saying, right? There's a certain,
mean-
I can't speak to that movie's quality above I think a 2.5 star level. But okay, it's like when I used to buy video games, right? Like a lot of the ones I buy, I wait till they drop down to $20. A $20 video game has a much lower threshold for quality than a $60 video game. You have lower expectations, so it has to deliver less.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
So it's like
Yeah.
with something like this, it's like even though it has
It's the
that low
popcorn
rating,
film.
right? It doesn't mean that I don't like it, but it's like the kind of thing. Okay, there's movies. Okay, like I would buy The Breakfast Club on DVD.
right.
I wouldn't buy this on DVD.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? I would watch it on TV if I was just like
Yeah,
like
but
were
you wouldn't
saying,
bother
Jason.
adding it to the library.
Right. If I was flipping through channels it was on, I would watch it, but I wouldn't pay money to own it, and that's why it's it's a little lower for me.
All right, Matt, you want to weigh in on this?
Sure. Yeah. I mean, I enjoyed this. I remember it from my youth. It it's a fun movie. I don't think it's supposed to be taken too seriously. Obviously,
Right.
It's it's just kind of a fun ride. And yeah, I do kind of agree with with Chris that it is sort of a little bit on the lightweight side. It's like it is sort of like a sitcom almost. It's like every
Oh.
Hey,
They have
I
rats.
put my phone on silent.
Dang it.
yeah. So like everything works out in the end. It's like when they're racing home, it kind of reminded me of like a like Ferris Bueller's Day
Yeah,
Off. You know, where
yeah.
like
Wait, was there a
Like-
lesson learned in this movie? 'Cause these types of
don't get
movies,
caught.
Yeah.
I think
Basically,
so.
Like hide
Well,
everything
yeah,
from
no,
your
yeah,
the-
yeah.
well,
Be really sneaky to a perfectionist's degree, right?
No. Check it out. Check it out. Because before you had in the beginning, you have Elizabeth Shue, who is like, just thinks this dickhead like is just the greatest thing since sliced bread, and she's all like totally like she's like an ineffectual like female. She's like an accessory for him. And she's like not into the babysitting thing because she holds these kids in like some kind of contempt.
So she's kind of living in a small, kind of protected world
Well,
where,
it's a story
like
of
her
empowerment.
first,
Right.
Yeah,
That's what I'm saying,
exactly,
because
yeah.
she becomes
Yeah.
a heroine
Right.
through shedding, and that's why I almost don't like the date rape guy coming back at the very end of
'cause
it.
it's like, oh, then all of a
because
sudden
it's
she gets
almost
the
like
man.
it's almost like no, people can't handle her being like a success on her own. Like,
Right. There has to
but
be a
I
dude.
guess it is a reverse
Wait,
of kind of that
he did
trope.
not date rape her.
No, I know. I just.
But he did seem a little date
he
rape.
just-
It's just-
but-
his
Yeah, it's funny,
personification.
we were all
in
like
Ed's
just
head.
waiting for the
But
hypno to drop.
he
Like,
just-
we're like,
yeah,
like,
well,
this is gonna get bad in just any
that's
second.
the
here.
culture in
Look,
which
if
we
you
live
see a
today.
clown, you're just waiting for him to murder somebody.
But at the same time, it is sort of a reverse of that stereotype where, like in most films, it's like the female is a prize for the man to win.
Right.
But in this case, you've got the shoes on the other foot. You've got the nice guy is the prize for her to win.
Well,
so
and
you
it's
could
funny
argue that it like you
yeah,
know,
and he almost took a more of an effeminate role, like a more submissive role in the relationship.
Yeah.
you know. than
I
it's
wonder if
like-
anyone's ever said that to her. Like, if there's she ever dated a foot fetishist? Can I get? I want the.
Oh, Elizabeth Shue.
Yeah.
yeah. I'm certain.
But
She should get a line of footwear, Elizabeth's shoes.
Okay. So what are you gonna rank this one on the Facebook there?
I'll probably give it 3 stars.
Okay.
You know, it's like I said, it's one of those 80 movies that just kind of it doesn't really stick out for me as something that I probably wouldn't have seen this movie like on my own, like probably ever again if
Right.
it wasn't shown up here.
Right.
It's like it's a movie that I saw in the 80s, but
Yeah,
it's
there's-
kind of like
There's a lot of movies you seek out and you like, oh,
Yeah,
like you rewatch it,
yeah.
and this is one that I think we got one time we watched it in the last 10 years or
I don't-
something.
yeah,
I-
it
I
kind
ha- I
of
don't
it kind of
remember.
faded into
But it's been a
obscurity a little
long
bit. It's
time,
like
yeah.
actually, I just kind of got reminded by like another babysitter movie from the 80s. Don't Tell Mom the Babysitter's
I love
Dead.
that movie.
And I was like,
Also with
I'm-
Keith Coogan.
right.
Yes. The dishes are done, man.
And so it's like that kind of movie where it's not something that I would ever seek out again. But
Right.
having it shown to me like in this kind of venue, it's like it's enjoyable,
Yeah.
you know. But
Yeah.
it's a 3-star movie.
Okay. Yeah. Like I said, I don't know how long it's been since we've seen it. I've seen it before, obviously, several times throughout my life because it came out. And I mean, when I was a kid. What kind of surprised me this time, though, like in retrospect, is how sort of rip-offish it was. I forget which one of you guys mentioned the Ferris Bueller's Day Off thing.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
But I was
well
like,
at the very
I was-
end. That was the thing. It's like
especially at the end. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? But it's very much it's very much
It
like
felt
Ferris
very
Bueller's.
Brat Packy.
Yeah. It really.
Like what is that? Not John Huston. Who did John Hughes?
John
right?
Hughes.
John
Yeah,
Hughes,
Breakfast
yeah.
Club and all that.
Yeah,
and
it's very,
Ferris Bueller.
It's very John Hughesy, even though it's not
right,
a John
right.
Hughes
and,
movie.
and it never struck me that significantly before. But like I'm thinking like, okay, well, you know, you had because it also reminded me of 16 Candles. It really reminded me
Another John
of
Hughes movie.
16 Candles mashed up with Ferris Bueller's Day Off, and so like I'm going, okay, 16 Candles 1984, Ferris Bueller's Day Off like 1986, Adventures in Babysitting 1987. Like now my memory's kind of being tainted because now I'm kind of starting to go like, oh, it's a little derivative now. But then again, like, you know, everybody's kind of mentioned like the sort of it's, you know, just that quintessential 80s kind of
Well,
light
and things
fare.
of the '80s were of the '80s, so like I'm sure you
That's
can.
it.
You could draw a lot of parallels between a lot of films that came out because they
yeah.
got that same kind of shit.
So, I mean, I guess I actually enjoyed it sort of less this time than I did the last time I saw it. But I always enjoy watching these things in the group. I think it helps. It's more enjoyable for me to like do that, and so I'll probably give it 3 on the Facebook. But for me, like because we only do 5 on the Facebook, like if I give something a 5, that doesn't necessarily mean it's like a 10, like in my personal scale, where it's like, oh, it's like with 2001. Like it's if it's really good and we have a hell of a time with it here. Like Pitch Perfect, for example, like for me really is a 3, but I gave it a 4 because I felt it went over so well. It was so much fun to watch with the group.
Yeah, I always wonder that when I'm giving stars. Am I rating for the group experience?
Well, see, that's up. I kind of do. It's up to you, but I kind of do.
Yeah.
I kind of do because that's sort of like what the forum is there for.
Did anybody else feel like the characters were almost like interchangeable? Like you could have taken any of the characters and put them in like almost any '80s movie, and like they didn't necessarily connect with each other. Like you don't really see like what does the brother have to do with the sister? Like I mean, they do have a little bit of interaction, but it's like
that kind of comes back to what Jason asked about them learning a lesson. Like, just to say that, like you kind of like nobody kind of grows as a person, and like I feel like, and this might have made it a little more more sitcom-y, but maybe if there had been a couple of heart-to-hearts between a couple of the characters, like if because the brother had a crush on her. And obviously he was way too young. If they had him like some kind of a conversation,
The brother had a crush on Elizabeth Shue. No,
not the sister, right? Right, and if that had been something where they could have talked about that, and it could have been something where she let him know that if he was the right age,
Right.
Next time on a very special Adventures in
it
Babysitting.
would have been like that, but like maybe I do feel that maybe that there wasn't an emotional growth or connection between the characters,
Right.
Well, I think with the brother and sister, they just kind of had that assumed white middle-class American nuclear family bond.
Right.
Like, oh, they must love each other because they're brother and sister. Like,
Well, and I mean, I think with a film like this too, I mean, it's important to have a character arc, but I mean, they're not really trying to have any sort of profound character. You know what I mean? Like you're supposed to just kind of take these people at face value and just go along for this
I think
roller coaster ride or silly shit that happens.
And
to
the
them.
target audience for this movie is obviously like kids around the age of that one, and then that's why I think it's told from that perspective. Like if it was aimed at an older audience, maybe you would see more growth or something like that.
Just to tack onto my thing, or did you want to?
No, I just wanted to say it's funny. Like I never thought of like being white and from the suburbs as a group until now, and then I'd realize like
No, totally.
it's like you
right.
Like you live in a certain area and you don't realize
it's
like,
its own culture, like
everything's
anything.
green, and then you're green, and you go into like a land of like like different color people, and you're like, oh my god, what's this? But yeah, that's funny. I didn't realize that that's the group. That's what draws the group together, is that they're all I guess,
White?
They're white,
exactly
middle
what I
class,
mean.
yeah.
well, that's what draws any group together is that they're white.
Is that they're white? I just wanted to add that.
No,
to,
is
to,
that they're similar.
to my review of the film is that I was actually surprised how not funny it was. Not to say that the whole film is not funny, but I remember sort of having bigger laughs and watching it in the group tonight. Like there were some great moments, but it was sort of less funny than I kind of remembered it being.
Well, that's like what I was saying with it kind of being like sort of tame. Is like I feel like like with a lot of those other like to go back to like the John Hughes movies, like there's a little more risque humor, and like even the Playboy isn't treated really as being risque,
right.
and like and like I feel like there's a lack of sharp or biting humor, and like everything as if the script could have been punched up by somebody. Like if they had taken you to another writer to like add a few more jokes and sharpen things up, it would have been like a little better.
Right.
Yeah, it felt like the opposite happened to me. It felt like maybe they had a kick-ass script and then people just kept rounding off the edges
or like
until
bad
they
editing
had,
or something.
it was Touchstone. So I mean, it's a Disney subsidiary. So they definitely wanted to go for a family thing. I think there's more money in that.
Yeah.
Okay, well, let's see. So, does anybody else have anything they want to say on Adventures in Babysitting before we move on?
No, it's
nope.
a good movie.
All right, perfect. We're halfway through our time. We're halfway through our time, so let's see if we can get to these other topics. Okay, so as I mentioned earlier, this was the end of this series, this elimination series. So I'm going to go down and remind everybody, in case anybody forgot, of what we've seen since this one started. And then we'll talk a little bit about those.
Lane here.
So, and I'm going to go in reverse order, starting with this week. Obviously, Summer won this week with Adventures in Babysitting. Prior to that, Kenzie won, and we saw Pitch Perfect. Before that, it was Garrett who selected Shame. Before that, Condi won, and he picked the 1980 Flash Gordon. Jason, you won the week prior to that.
Wait. Is the 1980 Flash Gordon the one where they battle on that rotating plate?
Yes.
With the spikes?
With the spikes.
Yes.
And some guy falls on it.
Clytus,
and, like,
yes.
His eyes like squeeze out through his
Pop out.
visor.
Yes, yes.
The gold Dr.
I saw
Doom.
that when I was like 7, like on TV somewhere.
It's beautiful.
And it fucked me up for like 4 years.
Oh,
like,
it's
just,
such
like,
a and like his
It's
eyes
just
pop in
it's
his
a
tongue. He's
surreal
like, ah.
movie to see as a kid.
It's wonderful.
It's like-
okay,
it's
wait,
like the
hang
Wizard
on.
of Oz.
Sorry.
No worries. I actually, if you want to sing the praise to Flash Gordon, I'm happy to have that happen. But let me get to the list first. Okay, so then the week before Flash Gordon, Jason, you won, and you selected Horns. Before that, Snig won, and she selected the Box Trolls. Victor was the week before that with the Salvation. Before that, Zeb won, and it was Blue Ruin. I won the week prior to that, and it was Whiplash. Chris, you were the week before that with the Goonies. John, you the week before that with the Omega Man, the original Omega Man with Charlton Heston, 1979,
Correct.
or
Yes.
79. Or...
The only version.
And then prior to that, Matt, you started it off with the 1971 classic Vanishing Point.
Bummed I missed
Oh,
that
yeah.
one.
Really, that
yeah.
was the one that started it off.
Yeah, it was you. You
Oh,
won.
yeah,
You
okay.
won the first time. So
That was a car racing one.
Yeah,
or like-
that was one where the guy
Car.
Kowalski is
Yeah,
like
yeah.
having he's got to get the car to San Francisco. All right, so let's go around the table.
Wait,
to,
do you have MVP on those?
what do you mean?
Like the highest rated one?
No, I don't actually. Yeah, but that's
Next week we could do it.
Yeah, I could. I'll have that stat, and then actually for future ones where we do it at the end to recap,
Right,
I
right.
will have that stat as well. Although it'll be tough because I'll have to get people to get on Facebook and vote right after we finish the last film, but that really won't be a problem. I can prepare the question beforehand. No, I can't. I'll just do it right away. Okay. Anyways. So let's go around the table clockwise, starting with you, Chris, on my left. Let's go your favorite one of the series and your least favorite one of the series.
My favorite one of the
Oh,
series.
yeah,
you
here's
know,
the list of
I
it.
think
Yeah.
my favorite one was it was Omega Man.
Who wants? Oh, are you serious? That's your favorite one? The one that I did, Omega Man? That is
Yeah,
great.
I
That
think
is
it was.
awesome.
I mean, my pick was.
I love to hear that.
My pick was, to be fair, it was kind of a safe.
Who
pick
wants
on that
another
one.
beer?
I'll
knew-
take a beer, please.
I knew
too.
everybody had seen Goonies, but I wanted not everybody had seen Goonies. My pick, and so I wanted to make sure that I think just Victor and Kenzie hadn't seen it, right?
Yeah, I think so. And I'd only seen it one time,
So
which is a surprise to everybody.
yeah, and I knew
So
you guys hadn't seen it in a while.
So tell us
but,
why you like the Omega Man.
Oh my God! It was so beautiful. It was just so beautiful.
Charlton Heston.
Yeah,
Charles,
he's such a beautiful
Charles
man.
He's a
Heston's like
beautiful man.
his grimace.
Dude, every shot in it's like, it's like the difference between like when you buy something really cheap and it feels like plastic and flimsy, or like you get something like really expensive and it's like made out of like this aged wood or some shit that's like
You could tell
like,
the quality.
Yeah, like things left over from your grandparents that you like their electronics and they're like a pair of binoculars from the 1940s has like a sense of quality to it that you can't get anymore.
Right.
And that movie just like reeks of it. It's like it's just such a gorgeous piece of
It's so
cinematography
70s, and it
like,
just it's got
just
such
a
a
solid
great
piece
vibe.
of oak.
yeah, it really is, man. It's just gorgeous. This chair squeaks. So
Okay,
much.
yeah,
I'll
I
never
know.
figure
Don't
it out.
worry. We're gonna be getting some new chairs. We're gonna. This is only temporary because we're gonna get that entertainment center in here. I still want to get rid of that couch. We'll fight about it later. And we want some different chairs so that we can all do this easier.
I tend to be a sucker for the surreal kind of stuff too. Like I tend to be a sucker for anything that's like, I don't know, just that type of.
Sure. Okay. Now, what was your least favorite?
My least favorite, man. I might need to see that.
You send that list over
one more time. Yeah.
Least favorite and why?
I love Flash Gordon too. That was another one that I really enjoyed.
That's
one.
Classic. Classic film.
I thought I was gonna hate Pitch Perfect, but that film was hilarious. Also,
that was a lot of fun.
I missed Whiplash, but we watched it later. Man, this was a good round. I just gotta say, shame, man. All these are so good. I missed Salvation.
Even if it's a Sophie's Choice here, a lesser of two evils or a lesser of two miracles. Least favorite.
I'm gonna say. Shit. Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm gonna say this last film.
Adventures of Babysitting.
Yeah, I'm gonna say I mean, even though I had seen it before,
right? It just doesn't stack up to the rest.
It just doesn't really compare. Yeah, even Horns, which I thought I wasn't gonna like. It was good. I really enjoyed it, and I was into it like I wasn't into this movie as much.
Then real quick before we move on from you, let me tack on what was the most interesting or the biggest surprise to you of this group?
Out of any other group?
Out of this series.
Oh, as a movie?
Either as a movie, either the way it went or your reaction to it or everybody else's. Like what was the most interesting or the biggest surprise to you?
Pitch Perfect. It was absolutely Pitch Perfect was the biggest surprise. I thought Pitch Perfect was going to be total crap, and it was hilarious.
Right.
I was laughing my ass off. I mean, it was total crap, but I was.
It was good crap.
Yeah,
it was
my brand of crap.
Funny.
That's my fetish.
Okay, all right, Jason, your turn. Give us your favorite, your least favorite, and your interesting / surprise.
My favorite. The ones I saw, because I missed 4 of them. Technically 5, but I saw Whiplash in theaters before the group saw it.
You can weigh in on it. If you didn't actually watch it with the group, you can still weigh in on it.
Yeah, I count those. But I was gone for 4 out of 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 of these. I missed a third. My favorite was probably...
Shame on you.
Going to be Box Trolls. My girlfriend Snig picks that. And she's
Interesting
not gonna be
choice.
listening to this probably. So I mean, she might, but
I was also bummed that I missed that one because I really wanted to see that.
it was well crafted.
Right.
We all thought it was CGI at first, and then at the end they reveal that it's actual stop motion.
Yeah.
That's great.
Which is hardcore. Like that,
it was really
When you see people who make movies are like, I love movies, and you're like, well, yeah, kind of course. And then you see people who do stop motion and they say I love movies, I believe them way more. They get hard for movies.
It's a tedious.
We made a couple stop motion movies as kids.
We made a classic Aliens film that had a guest appearance by Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Do you still have that?
Using the Kenner action figures.
We spent like a whole summer
one at a time.
No. One shot.
Yeah.
We had a camera that would like a VHS
like the classic
camera.
way, move them a tiny bit,
One
take a
frame
shot
at a time.
Yeah, one frame at a time.
There's a different way than moving them one frame at a time.
No.
Yeah.
But with early home video cameras, like getting like one frame,
right,
is like a bitch.
Right.
But this
So you gotta
camera
start
would
it and
take
stop
like
it.
a still, like it had like a still mode. Actually, there might be some of it left somewhere. Like I have no way to watch those old VHS-C cassettes.
I do.
Like an adapter tape or something.
Yes.
Then when we get a VCR, you should bring it over because
we
like we
those
could go
things and see what we
could go through stuff and I could try to find it.
It's probably all your bands.
But anyways, okay.
So my favorite was Box Trolls. Is well crafted. It was funny.
Yes.
There's a bit of an arc there going on. Not much of one, but is good. The music was great and the voice acting.
Yes. Well, yeah. There was a couple of actors that. Yeah, exactly. I know you and I, especially, are both huge fans of Richard Ayoade.
Right.
And it was a very pleasant surprise that he turned up in there, and Nick Frost.
Yes,
that was cool.
And like the two like bumbling like henchmen.
Yes.
Like constantly ruminating, like from that like Mitchell and Webb skit, like, are we the bad guys?
Yeah.
Like, are we the baddies?
Are we the baddies? Yeah.
Basically, doing that was a great little subversion.
Yeah.
My least favorite was definitely The Adventures in Babysitting.
Dude, right and the left for the
Like,
babysitting.
I wasn't like a fan of Vanishing Point, but I wasn't like, I hated my time watching it. And I didn't hate my time watching it, but like I was bored. Like I was so bored.
You've got
with
to
Adventures in
with that movie's
Babysitting.
wavelength.
Yeah,
So-
no, I can.
Yeah,
It's
it's definitely a different pace.
Yeah,
it's got its
you
own
got to
vibe.
shift into
Something that did not surprise me actually with these selections was that I wasn't that into my selection. I famously in this group I always pick movies that I haven't seen.
You are notorious for being the most adventurous.
And they're always films I think I will like, and I have them on like my Netflix to-do list.
Yeah, but you pick stuff you haven't seen. You're like the only person who regularly does that.
I believe I have
That's
to
why
check.
when you
It's like when you're guinea pigs.
That's why I never give you shit for you, because I think technically you probably, if we were to figure it all out, I think you have the lowest ranked picks of everybody.
Right, yeah.
But I don't give you shit for that because you're being adventurous.
I did pick one that I'd already seen before is Primer, that time travel.
Oh, okay. But that was quite a mind fuck. So that was good to bring to the group.
It's definitely one of those ones where you need to watch it like 4 times before you get grasp like a quarter of it.
that was pretty dense.
The thing that was a surprise for me was Shame, because I didn't really like it that much. Like I knew kind of what it was about going in, but like it depicted my lifestyle in such a negative way.
Yeah, right.
It was an
I know.
eye-opening
I
experience.
thought it would be right up your alley, of course.
And like for the listeners, like I'm not tooting my own horn, but like I'm pretty slutty and like I get around and like just seeing him get like so bummed out about fucking everyone that moves, like really bummed me out.
I just want to weigh in on that really quick. I thought it was funny because I had the same reaction to 50 Shades of Grey, that I felt like in a way it unfairly portrayed like a sexually sort of less rigid lifestyle, which if that's how you are with your sexuality, that's okay. So at first I kind of was upset at Shame for like just kind of being like, well, anybody that has these kind of sexual encounters is got some kind of baggage. But then the more I thought about it, the more I thought, well, no, it's not saying that. Just he did.
Right.
I wasn't just like 50 Shades of Grey, if you're unfortunate enough to see it, is very sort of condemning of everything in its own way, and that's like, I'm like, fuck you. I'm like, dude, like, you like get fuck. I don't even want to get started on it. But
Wait, 50 Shades of Grey condemns that lifestyle?
absolutely, the film does. I don't know about the book. I'm not going to read the book. I'm not going to waste my time.
not going to do
But the
either.
film, I walked out of the film going like, dude, are you kidding me? Like, what kind of faux feminist horse shit is this? Like, but anyways, I don't want to waste time talking about
the
that.
way I think about it is like porn. Like, no one really gives men shit for like watching porn. It's like women don't react like that to pizza guys.
Yeah.
What the fuck? It's just that we have never managed to make it.
Yeah.
We've never managed to make it into a motion picture. Like on
Okay,
the
so
silver screen.
Shame was the surprise to you because you didn't like it as much as you thought.
I just heard about like a sex addicted guy. I'm like, fuck, let's do this.
Right. Yeah, you're like, yeah.
Michael Fassbender's a sex
Yeah,
addict.
dude,
like,
I'll take it.
Like erect in defiance
That's
of
awesome.
God's will. Is like how.
Okay,
All right,
John.
yes, I'm done.
Okay, let me see. I missed Horns. I missed Box Trolls.
Get up on that mic a little more.
Oh,
Or
sorry.
just hold the list up. It'll be easier.
Yeah, I miss Horns. I miss Box Trolls. So I don't know for sure about those. From what I saw, my favorite. Well, okay, Whiplash I think is the best movie that was shown.
Right.
Because it's
Right.
so good. Because it's just so good that like. Even like okay, something like Flash Gordon, like okay, I've seen that movie more times than I can count, and I will continue to watch that movie more times
Yeah.
than I'll be able to remember. But if I'm talking critically, I've got to give it to Whiplash. Least favorite, I would definitely say, unfortunately, is Adventures in Babysitting. Because it just is not up to par. Even like okay, so we had 2 girl picks,
Right.
and they were very girly. But even though there was
Perfect.
Pitch Perfect played into so many cliches.
Oh, absolutely.
And the music was terrible.
Anna Kendrick in the shower. Come on, dude.
Well, you didn't
Just
see
the
nothing.
three stars
Her
right
in
there.
every outfit she had.
Well, okay, and that's
even the
and-
little
and-
stewardess
well,
outfit.
okay,
That part where
and-
she's like tapping that
and
cup.
that's
Come
and,
on.
that's one of the things that I did like about it, and it was funny. and it was enjoyable. And and I could see it when it was first started. I was like, oh man, like this is gonna be tough.
Like,
to
yeah,
get
rolling
through.
your eyes. Here we go.
Right,
Oh,
but then
Jesus.
at some point I realized I was enjoying myself and that it was fun, and and so yeah, so like I said, even though it's a beloved childhood film for me,
Adventures of Babysitting.
Adventures of Babysitting is just it's just gonna have to. It's just the lowest one on the list for me.
Okay, your biggest
And-
surprise or
Biggest surprise, I'm gonna have to say, I'm going to go Blue Ruin because
Nice.
that is a movie that I would never in a billion years have watched.
right.
And one of the things I love about certain people like Jason's picks specifically are a lot of picks I would never watch.
And that's
Ever.
that's really the point.
Haven't even
For
heard
everyone to
of.
expand horizons.
Well, which is great.
Us
And-
to all do it
And
together.
I
and help
like
each
that.
other
I
out.
like getting an opportunity to see movies that I would never pick. That's one of the best things about this.
Right.
And even like with the girl picks, I wouldn't have watched
That's-
either.
that's-
Adventures of
that's
Babysitting,
what
but
I'm saying.
I never would watch Pitch Perfect on my own.
Right.
Wait,
know?
is Blue Ruin that Southern revenge story?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, that was
Yeah,
good.
that was the
Yeah,
one
and
Zeb picked.
that came right to left field. I guess it was funded by. It was a Kickstarter movie. So they drummed
was
the money.
so
or I think
good.
either a
Do you
Kickstarter or
know-
Indiegogo. It was
Do you
one of
know
those
how much-
crowdfunded.
Do you know what they spent on that movie?
I'm on
do,
it.
but I forget.
Okay, yeah, let me
because
find
I
it.
read the
Sure.
IMDb and the wiki, and obviously it wasn't expensive to
Right.
make. So yeah, that was the one that really was like, wow, like that really caught me off guard. And I will
Cool.
at some point. I'm bummed I miss Horns and Box Trolls, and at some point I will
dang.
watch both of those.
All right,
Yeah.
Dr. Matlis.
Oh man,
Orange,
what do we
yeah.
have here?
Make sure to stay up on that mic.
Oh, I totally am. Yeah. This round is going to be kind of difficult because I actually
A lot of them were good. Most of all of them were good, really.
I just
a,
want to say
a lot of them. Well,
I
all the
disqualified
ones that I
Whiplash for
saw
myself.
were
'Cause I didn't
pretty
see it.
awesome.
Right.
Unfortunately, I missed a lot of these.
Right.
I didn't see it.
Um,
I mean, at the
I did.
time.
I did miss it when you showed it here, but I later saw it on my own. But Whiplash,
Right.
I gotta agree with John. That is probably the best.
I think it's
the
the best
best
movie that came out
movie.
this year.
Huh? Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so,
Yeah,
and,
okay.
yeah.
I actually
So-
like this better than Birdman.
So I didn't
And-
see.
Me
that.
too.
Me
Yeah.
too.
I didn't
It's
see
just-
Whiplash with the group, so I
I
disqualified
don't think that should
myself.
matter though.
No,
I don't think
no,
that
I-
should matter.
no, I can still talk about this.
Hang on. Well, you can talk about the film, but I respect that choice because seeing it, he can
With
weigh
the
in
group
on-
experience,
It's,
sure.
it's a little
Oh,
different.
sure.
It's a little
Well,
different,
yeah. It's a, well, I'm
but I
not-
know, but I know
wouldn't-
he loved it because we watched it together
my God, I
again
love it, yeah.
later, and
Oh,
he
no.
was like flipping out, like just like
Oh,
I did.
it's just it's
Yeah,
it's a
seriously,
just
tears.
a riveting
Like, oh my
yeah,
God.
movie.
yeah.
It was just I was on the edge of my seat like the whole time. It's just like such an intense and just brilliantly acted.
Absolutely.
I don't know the name of the conductor.
J.K. Simmons.
Yes.
Yes. Oh God.
Oh, he is
Yeah.
amazing in this movie.
Oh, absolutely.
And yeah, I was just totally blown away by that one.
Real quick, Blue
My-
Ruin
Yeah. What they spend.
asked for $35,000 and they got $37,800.
Nice.
Wow.
That's that.
It's a cheap movie.
Yeah,
It was
and,
a
and,
that-
and you don't even
That's what
notice.
they
It looks
were
good.
asking for, or that's what it actually cost
That's what
to
they
make?
asked, and that's what
No,
they
no,
got.
that's some extra stuff. They've already like maxed out credit cards, refinanced homes,
Oh
and
my
Of
goodness.
course.
cashed in some other accounts.
Well,
Wow, I gotta
hopefully,
hand it to
hopefully,
those people. That's
yeah,
like going way out on a
hopefully
limb.
somebody's paying attention. 'cause
Yeah.
that was a great film.
Man, let's see. I gotta say, my least favorite is probably Adventures in Babysitting.
Burn coming up unanimous.
Yeah, I mean, this was a good round. There was like a lot of thought given, and except for mine. Well, yeah, but yeah, there was a lot of good picks, and that was just sort of it's not up to par on the rest of them. I agree. Not to say that it's bad. It's just
It just
it's just
yeah,
a meh.
right.
It's
right.
just
Yeah.
the least favorite. It's not like it's not. I mean, if you got to put them in order,
Yeah,
one
that-
is going to be
Dude,
on the
it's gotta-
bottom,
it's
and
gotta
that's
be that
it's
way.
going to be that
Dude,
one. Right.
even Olympic athletes wind up at the bottom.
Right.
Oh, sure.
Somebody gets bronze.
They
I
were
mean,
still good enough. They were still good enough to be in the Olympics.
Right.
You know
That-
what I'm
that
saying?
means
they're still
So-
best in the
so-
world at what
so
they
it's not
do.
really a
The guy that
slam.
loses on Iron Chef
Yeah.
is you're
Still
gonna
one of
want
the
to eat
best
the
chefs
shit that he
in the
makes.
world.
Absolutely.
You know?
That's a
Absolutely.
good point.
So
You can still do things with beef you can only dream of.
Real
beef
beef. What are we gonna drink? Beef.
beef for hungry people.
Red River. Where we want, he's like, what are we gonna eat? Beef. What are we gonna drink? Beef. Okay, your biggest surprise or big or most
This
most
has
interesting.
also been mentioned, but Kenzie's pick with Pitch Perfect. I mean,
Right.
that's
You had
I
a good
was
time with that
definitely
one,
not
too.
expecting something that was going to be that fun. Previous Kenzie picks. I mean, just going from the track record. I'm sorry, but
Well, okay.
Wait, she's only picked like 3 films, right?
Well, let's look at
Has she?
let's look at Kenzie's picks. Kenzie picked Buffy the Vampire Slayer, which is a film that I'm actually a fan of. He and I both
I like that.
Okay. She picked The Canyons.
I missed that.
That
terrible.
while it was terrible,
thank God I missed
I
that.
thought it was an interesting choice because pop culturally, it was this fascinating, weird kind of a big deal at the time. Because you had that porno guy doing like his first like
James Dean.
mainstream
James
role, and you had and Lindsay Lohan is like the talk of the tabloid. So like from a pop cultural perspective, it kind of was this weird sort of anomalous thing, and I thought it was very sort of just like with The Interview. I felt like it connected us to the kind of zeitgeist like by having it. So I thought it was a bold selection, even though it was a piece of shit.
It was a very hip selection.
She also picked Thank You for Smoking.
Yo, that was a
I
good
didn't-
movie.
Okay,
That
I'm
was a
sorry.
good movie.
I'm sorry.
Right?
I wasn't here for that one, but I have seen that movie,
And it's
I did-
great.
that is a quality flick.
Absolutely. I didn't know that it was Jason Reitman. And I thought that was a fantastic film.
I don't know if you noticed in the movie, you never see anyone smoking.
Smoking, yeah, because
Kind of interesting.
Yeah, I yeah, my
Blowing your mind. Blew my mind.
Well, I wish I had some sound effects. I gotta get the sampler going. But so and then I have to have the list in front of me to know what else she's
Yeah.
picked.
There has to be one
there
between
was,
the canyons and here.
Harriet the Spy.
Yes. Okay.
Okay,
I was-
which I had fun
Oh,
with. Honestly,
no.
it could have been
I-
worse.
I
there
did
was
not.
5 minutes of that film that were good, and that's when Harriet goes like Arya Stark on her former
Yeah,
friends.
yeah.
Like she just
The-
socially
stabbing
assassinates
backs
them.
right
she
and
opens
left.
the revenge sluice.
Holy shit! Like I was just like ready for that film to take a weird dark turn for the rest of the runtime. Like, God, I don't remember this at all.
Okay,
But
okay.
yeah, when she was picking that one, I know she was also contemplating picking Matilda.
Right.
Which, as far as like a kids movie, because I think that we were on that theme, right? That was child protagonist.
Child protagonist, correct.
And yeah, and as you know, really lighthearted as that movie is, I do like Matilda. I know she was thinking about picking that one, and she went with Harriet the Spy. That was a 2-star movie for me.
Okay, all right, hang
But
on.
anyways,
Let finish. Okay, so
1 star for me.
Actually, I'm gonna go onto the Facebook here and find out all of Kenzie's picks real quick while we're talking about this. So-
That's
But
gonna be a bit
anyways,
of an
my
ordeal.
point was that's kind of what I was expecting from Pitch Perfect. Like
Right.
I knew about the movie, but I didn't know anything. I knew of its existence, let's say, but
Right.
I had a great time watching that movie.
Okay, so that was your biggest surprise.
Yes.
Okay, excellent. All right, so my turn. So looking at this list, hey, here you go. Click on the group, the Las Películas group, and then go to the photos and go to the Carteles de las Películas. That has the chronological list inventory of all of our films.
Your
all right,
accent
so,
is superb, by the way.
So what?
Your accent is superb.
Oh, thank you. I could lay it on. No, there's nothing to roll the R's. Okay, so looking at this list, I saw all of these. And I'm not trying to toot my own horn here, but I got to agree, Whiplash was the best. Now, I think that's the first time.
I got no idea what I'm doing with this.
I think I think that's the first time I've ever picked a film.
Wait, for the record, John has never used a face or a book in combination.
I am off the grid for
Well,
Facebook.
You
so
know
I
what?
don't-
You were almost there.
Well, I found the groups, but then it was like, then
You were almost there.
You lost me.
This is the first time I think I've ever picked a film that I have not seen. But Oscar season was in full swing.
Yeah.
The Oscars were coming up, and I knew
Was that one already nominated by the time you picked it?
Yes.
It's a magic time for film
And
fans.
I knew
the Oscar.
I knew on my Thursday morning radio show I was going to be doing an Oscar show with guests, so I needed to have my shit together.
Wasn't
what?
Wasn't Oscar season in double time swing by that point?
Yes, very good, excellent.
Triple time,
I
you
need a rim
rube.
shot, but
Wouldn't it be more like didum.
Jesus. So I was like, you know what? Fuck it. I love J.K. Simmons. This movie, the trailer, when I think Jason, you were the one that showed us the trailer, I was like, holy shit, we got to watch this. And really, I think if Nightcrawler wasn't nominated for Best Picture, Whiplash should have won it. Whiplash was just a virtually flawless film. So simple,
Yeah.
but so brilliant. The end is one of the greatest ends in film history.
It's so
because
triumphant,
So
like-
often
Oh,
ends
yeah.
let you down, and it ends masterfully. The photography is absolutely beautiful. The soundtrack is great. The acting is amazing. There's no lull from start to fucking finish, dude. You're like into this shit. So Whiplash for me was really bitchin'. Was really, really great.
I saw that in a theater, and I saw it with Snig, and the way
Was
she
the theater full?
no, because it's like 1
No,
p.m.
because nobody saw it. Nobody saw it anyways. But continue.
Well, I mean, it's somewhat full. It's like this really like this theater filled with like these like beanbag couches. It's in L.A. somewhere. It's comfy as hell.
Was it the Landmark?
Maybe.
Was it in like a kind of like a little mall?
Yeah, a huge mall.
Yeah, that's probably the Landmark.
Yeah, we were like
Nice
in the
theater.
front row, and despite that, like it was still like completely comfortable viewing angle and all that. But her body language and like how she cuddled up to me was completely like watching a horror film. Like when we watch horror films, like she was.
It's that intense.
Yeah,
It
is
is an
intense.
intense
Well,
movie.
like
Yeah,
she can't
absolutely.
handle people like yelling at her. Like she can barely handle criticism sometimes because she'll get
or face slapping.
she gets
That's oh
stressed.
man, that was an
and-
early.
Oh right.
Yeah.
Seeing that much
Bad scene.
blood freaks her out.
You know what I think about with that movie is like the part where he throws the chair at him, right?
Yeah.
Now, if he hadn't have ducked, that movie would have taken a completely different turn.
Yeah, right.
Like that story would have gone right off the rails. Like I'm talking like maybe coma, lawsuit, fractured skull, I mean,
All right. all
just
right.
yeah, it really would have gone in a very different direction if he hadn't have ducked
my
under that
favorite
chair.
like tense and then like release scene in that, and this is the one where she like dug a claw into my arm, was when Miles.
Miles Teller. Well, in the movie, he's Andrew Neiman,
Oh, that's right. No, that's his real
but
name.
Miles Teller
Yeah.
is the actor.
Yeah. Well, the main character, he gets nailed by the bus or the car or whatever as he's
Oh,
rushing
yeah.
to get
Yeah.
to some.
I knew that was coming. As soon as he rented
I
a
didn't.
car, as
Yeah.
soon as he rented a car, I'm like waiting for the accident.
I
Yeah,
knew it was
that's
going to
awesome.
happen as soon as he was yelling on a phone while driving.
Right.
Like that's like the new thing these days. Like you don't see it coming. It's like if a character is like using not a hands-free mobile phone while driving, like
It's like a cautionary tale.
yeah, basically.
Okay. So Whiplash, number one for me.
Least favorite.
My least favorite. I'm really not trying to hop on any kind of bandwagon. It has to be Adventures Babysitting, not because the film is bad.
One
not-
of us.
not 'cause I
One
think it's a
of
bad
us.
choice.
5 for 5 of the attendees of the podcast.
Honestly, and for me, really, that's honestly running really close.
To what else?
The Goonies,
Ah.
honestly, and not to slam you, Chris, but I just
Not
I-
to say it's a bad movie, I bet, but
I-
just
it's
that
so-
it's,
it's
like
so-
it's such a
over-
well-worn
y-
favorite.
Yeah.
We've seen
Well,
it so many times.
for me though, that movie was not a part of my childhood. The first time I saw it ever was when Brad ran it at Midnight Madness at the Hoya Village.
That's crazy.
Wow. Wow.
So I have kind of a different take on it.
for such a staple for so many people of our generation.
Well, because we didn't go to the movies, and we
Yeah.
just somehow missed the Goonies.
Our
or
parents
I
got
did.
cable instead of
yeah.
going to taking us to the movies.
So
I
I
wasn't a huge
enjoy
fan
it.
either.
I
Yeah.
enjoy it, but there's something like it doesn't quite scratch the same itch for me that it seems to for everybody else. Plus, I think honestly, for me, that was my worst experience altogether because everybody was talking.
Well, yeah, because
Because it
everybody
is
else-
We all
such,
know
it
it
is
so
such
well.
a
That was the
well-worn
problem.
favorite. It is such a
Yeah,
well-worn
it
favorite.
was-
so
yeah, it was
so
a
that's what I'm
hard
saying,
time
But so I didn't
getting
like
people to
that
shut
because
up.
it's like, yeah, that's it. So you know what I mean. So it's close to that. But everything was really good. But with Adventures of Babysitting, I actually liked the film less watching it this time than I ever have before. And it wasn't as funny either as I remembered it or would have liked. So it's like my least favorite.
What
Sorry,
surprised
Summer.
you?
My biggest surprise, that is really tough because it's kind of a toss-up for me between Blue Ruin and Horns.
Oh, you liked Horns.
I did, but there was some things that I didn't like about it. Like, there was some things that kept it from really being like...
Yeah.
Whereas, like, with something like... And not to say that it's like Donnie Darko, but it is kind of like Donnie Darko, and it's this kind of weird outsider little film about, like, kind of a normal thing with these weird sort of paranormal or supernatural or whatever kind of things going on in the periphery. But with Donnie Darko, like, whereas, like, the gripes I've heard people have with it, I'm like, fuck you. Like, shut up. The movie's rad. But with shit.
Oh, that's an hour.
Okay, yeah, but okay. So check this out, because we're all doing this, and Jim Ross goes an hour and 15. I'm giving us 15 more minutes to get
All
through all this
right,
shit. So,
overtime.
as soon as I'm
OT.
done saying this, we're gonna go on speed round here. So Horns. Unlike Donnie Darko, there was some things about Horns that held it back from being like, wow, super impressed. But I was surprised and impressed with the sort of ride it took me on, and it was way different than what I expected, and there was just a lot of surprising things about it, and it was really a fascinating watch. Blue Ruin would be the one it ties with, because just like John said, Blue Ruin was so off my fucking radar, like, forget it. This is not a film I would have seen. And for that to be Zeb's first pick, I thought it was a really strong, bold choice.
I love it when people come in and just
bring
jump
the heat
right in and really show off something.
It totally
Definitely.
felt like raw and indie, but without feeling like cheap. Like, remember what was it?
Yeah, it
What
didn't
was
feel
it?
amateurish
What
at
was
all.
the one, like, Open Water, the one with the couple that got eaten by the
That's
sharks?
it, Open Water. Yeah.
Okay, like, to me, like, that felt cheap and amateurish. Right. And it was indie and low budget. This was like, I mean, you said 37 grand they spent. That's
minimum.
Okay. Well,
Probably twice that.
okay, still 60
still,
grand.
Anything under
That
$1 million
ain't-
these days
that
is
ain't
cheap
shit.
for a movie.
That ain't shit. And
you
even
bring up
for an
because
indie
Primer
flick.
was 77,000.
see,
Yeah.
once again,
and that thing looked like a piece of shit just because
It looked.
Yeah,
Well, I
there
thought
was
it
some
looked
pretty bad
okay.
shots.
No. Their film stock was like really.
It looked
Low
really.
quality.
Yeah. Well, it was. Yeah. Blue Ruin looked better than Primer.
Yeah, Blue Ruin looked clean. It looked just
Yeah.
like a small
Yeah.
indie.
Get up
house.
on that, dude.
Oh, yeah,
Pretend it's a dick.
Oh yeah.
Get up on it.
Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead.
Do you want me to do it from the bottom? Or do you want me to do it from
Just
the top?
cradle the bass, please.
I mean, you said pretend it's like a dick.
But yeah, so Blue Ruin, it's just a taut little revenge thriller, and I think it's the kind of thing that I think it almost reminded me of a Condi pick, because he's almost kind of like cheap. He's like I don't know, I think maybe I think maybe like the first person shooter equivalent would be like Condi's like a camper, and that like he always picks shit that like just he can't lose with. You know what I mean? So like
I feel like Victor was the same way. He was a camper.
yeah, in a way, right? So I think like something like Blue Ruin, I think it's like bait for us. Like, I think that's something that we're all gonna like. Yeah, dude. You
It's
know
a
what
bold
I mean?
choice,
Right.
and then it comes with a story. Like, he got it from like an estate sale or something. Like, he bought it from like a video store selling off their stock.
No, he's a super interesting.
Yeah,
dude.
yeah. It's like a
He's
it's
got
like
a lot of
found
crazy stories,
film.
and he's got a really cool, crazy background.
Wait, who does?
Zeb.
Oh, he found it at an estate sale.
Yeah,
a
yeah.
copy of it.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, no. What got to me about that film is like it looked like a Hollywood film, just that with no one famous in it.
Yeah,
Right, except for
it looked
Daniel
very
Bryan.
professional.
Yeah, right.
Except
Yeah,
for
Daniel
WWE
Bryan.
superstar Daniel Bryan. No, I'm kidding.
and the guy from Home Alone.
Oh yeah, that's right. Buzz from Home Alone. Oh, and Eve Plum, Jan Brady.
Yeah.
Okay. So I've waited on that.
Speed
All
round.
right.
All right.
So we got about 10 minutes to get through the rest of this stuff. So let's go fucking super speed round on this. All right. So we are talking about. Oh, okay. This won't be too hard actually, because the next set of questions is really the same topic. The next theme.
Yep.
Let's talk about it. The next theme is the improper 1930s, which is 1930 to 1939, and the parameter is the film you select must be have either been filmed or released rather. Fuck filming. Released originally between 1930 and 1939, or your film temporally must be set in anywhere between 1930 and 1939.
And just to go on the record here on the podcast, I want to urge everybody to at least consider doing a movie from the 1930s because one of the main things that motivated this theme is a lack of classic cinema. And we had a little.
We've done very little old stuff.
Did a little sizzle reel before the movie today of trailers from the 30s.
Five of the tent pole films
that Ed picked out that show that there's a lot to like. I see people rolling their eyes at movies from like the third, like old boring movies, but like you see stuff like Wizard of Oz, Frankenstein, like all this great stuff that came from that decade.
And if I had had more time to throw it together,
there's so many
stuff I could have put.
It's arguably the greatest decade in the history of cinema, right? And so it's like you go on Wikipedia and you can see a list of films of the 30s. You right-click a few of them and open in a new tab, and you read about them, and maybe there's one you want to see that you haven't seen.
Right.
Because there's going to be some that's the kind of movie you always hear about, and maybe like you should see but you've never seen. And take a chance on it.
The Adventures of Robin Hood. I didn't even.
Well, right,
I didn't have time to think. That's another great one I could have done.
Right, that I had never seen until you watched it for your cinema
Errol
class.
Flynn?
Yes.
Yeah.
I think it's 1938.
And so, there's a lot of great movies out there that are set during the 30s, but
I think
those might have been seen by everybody more often. And so, at least try to.
Now,
pick a
I
classic
agree with you, but I will say the corollary benefit that we did discuss about if people do pick ones that are temporally located in the 30s but were made elsewhere, not only is the whole theme kind of a cinema under glass thing anyways, so we're going to examine the 1930s, but so now we're going to examine the 1930s as it was really filmed, as well as how they thought it was filmed in later eras.
Yeah, exactly. Because John and I were discussing this earlier. Because it's really wide open if you're going to be choosing movies that were set in the 30s. Because ever since the 30s, there's been movies
set in
being
the 30s.
released that were set in the 30s. So it's almost you can. It's a really interesting kind of retrospective that you can do.
It goes across all decades, all
where you could look at what that
too.
kind of era's view of the 30s was.
It just adds.
Talkies.
It was when talkies really became big because they came in at 27, but it adds another layer to what you're looking at in the microscope, basically, which is sort of the point of the theme. Like one of the points of the theme is not only to get everybody to sort of challenge themselves and to think sort of outside the box, but to use a sort of a hackneyed cliche, but also to sort of give us as a group almost a study on something in particular. You know what I mean? Like that was like the idea with like child protagonist. When we did that theme, we've got all of these films on the same subject. So we as a group are collectively examining a specific sort of
era,
subgenre in a way of film. And across a broad variety of ages,
and a pocket of time too. Like.
Well, that's it.
I think the tendency too is to look at a theme and say, well, it narrows down my picks, but really, it's helping.
Right, it's just more focus them because there's like limitless movies out there.
Yeah, because now okay, well, it's got to be this
or
this because it's So I don't know. I think the more narrow the theme, the easier it becomes.
And it helps to make a deliberate choice. Like it's and not to dump on anybody's picks, but like the idea of just picking like a movie, like I've been meaning to see this. Like there's a movie I've been wanting to watch, so I'll just show it on Movie Saturday.
Right.
Like that's that's fine, but like I like the idea of putting some effort into picking a movie specifically for Movie Saturday. And not it being the thing that's on the top of your Netflix queue anyway that you would watch your next opportunity.
Right, something that you had to put some thought into.
Right, and something that you pick for the group to show, and it's not you getting it off of your list, but you choosing it for the group.
Exactly, and that's the benefit is us trying to push things and grow as because we're all huge cinema fans. That's why we do this.
Cinefans.
But cinephiles.
Cinephants.
You know what I mean? So it's like, but there's this weird thing about the sort of human brain where like it wants to have like a territory and then sort of keep the rest out. But it's like, you know what I mean? Like all you're doing is keeping yourself from different experience and new things and new ways of looking at things. And
well, and that's what's great about the group dynamic is that like, okay, like somebody's kind of almost easy pick is somebody else's challenging pick.
yeah,
Something that somebody could throw out with no thought into it would be something that, like a lot of things we're talking about, that other people in the group would never watch.
right.
So even though for the picker, it's maybe not that bold of a choice, for the pickees who are watching it, it's a bold viewing experience for them because they wouldn't have watched that movie on their own, maybe ever.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so speaking of the group dynamic, looking at the list of picks, here's all of Kenzie's picks in order. Buffy the Vampire Slayer, The Canyons, Apocalypto,
Oh yeah, that was good too.
which I had never seen,
Me
and
neither.
which was actually was pretty good. Especially like I really dug those scenes of like the city center when like the crazy guys talking.
That was a trip out. Yeah.
The whole sacrifice.
Yeah, when they
scene,
get to like
yeah.
the pyramid and stuff, and you just see
Yeah.
the civilization.
Condi picked Centurion, so that yeah. Let's see, what else do we got here? Thank you for smoking.
That's one of my favorites.
Then she picked. Then it was Harriet the Spy. There we go.
I missed that one also.
Then it was.
I missed that one too.
Wow. Then Harriet the Spy was her most recent.
Was that the
one.
last one?
No,
Other
she
than,
just picked. She just picked
She
other
just
than
Pitch
Pitch
Perfect.
Perfect.
Pitch Perfect. Yeah.
Yeah.
That was Victor.
Yeah.
And then we had Leon, Pan's Labyrinth, Submarine, Bless the Beast and Children, Filth, Survive Style, Monster Squad, Le Mans, Silver Bullet, Young Einstein, Daryl, Hamburger, the Motion Picture, with Bill and I, High Fidelity,
Hamburger, the
Lord of the
Motion
Rings,
Picture.
The Interview. Yeah, because you know what? Wow. So Kenzie's last pick, before Pitch Perfect, was Harriet the Spy.
That's why she's
Wow.
so low down on the list.
So
Wow,
the only
that's
one,
amazing.
the only one we were forgetting was Apocalypto, which was actually pretty good.
That
too.
was good. Okay.
So,
All right.
so I think Kenzie's
Sorry,
kind of,
Kenzie,
Kenzie's kind of
my-
validated.
my
I really do think the person with the least popular picks is Jason.
That,
Yeah,
but
all right.
our attitude
It's-
though about Kenzie definitely tells you about like that. There's like that
Stereotype.
that pop psychology thing. Like it takes like 7 positive things said to you to like combat like 1 negative thing said to you. Like,
Yeah, that
like,
could be it. I
she's
think my
had-
opinion
she's
is
given us a
definitely
couple of-
it's definitely tainted by Harriet the Spy and the Canyons, because
Canyons.
Apocalypto, that was a good movie. I did
alright.
enjoy that one, and also what was the other one that you just mentioned?
Thank
Shit.
you for smoking.
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you for
Yeah,
smoking.
that was
I missed
great.
that one, but
Very
I have
good.
seen it
That's
before.
my
That's a
number
good
one that she chose.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a great one. I think the whole group dug that one. That was a winner.
And the only reason she got Apocalypto is because I felt bad for her because like we weren't doing
Yeah,
the
you
elimination
won.
rounds.
Yeah, you won that one.
I won
deferred
that
to her.
one. And she's
Right.
like, really?
So, but that's why I think the themes are even better. Like for someone like her who, you know, like now she's really got to be like, I got to put some thought into this shit. All right, we got 20 seconds. So that wraps up the inaugural edition of the Las Películas Sábados Gigantes podcast. Going around clockwise to my left, I'm Ed.
I'm Chris.
I'm Jason.
I'm John.
And I'm Matt.
And we'll be back next week to talk about round one of the first round one of the new theme, the improper 1930s. Yeah, all right, thanks. We'll see you next time.
Yeah, good night.
Adios.
Peace.
Night.
Adios.
Peace.
Night.
Adios.
Peace.
Night.
Adios.